to find what fits best for the property owner. Is there any discussion from the council regarding proposed resolution 2018-19?
Make a motion that we approve on first reading 2018-19 to amend the zoning designation at Roughing and Washington.
Second.
Sir. Got Mr. Pearson on the second. We have a motion and a second to approve resolution 2018-19. The zoning requires.
Yeah, you're right.
Any further discussion from the council? I'll call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Price. The end. All right. Move next to proposed ordinance 2018-9, read by title alone, an ordinance creating a non-reverting operating fund for community center purposes. The monthly rent from the Carroll County Senior Family Services would be deposited in this account, as well as any funds generated from renting the property. Those funds would be dedicated for the purpose of maintenance and operation of the Delphi Community Center. If the council wishes to proceed with passage of this proposed ordinance, I would ask for a motion to suspend the rules of procedure after first reading so we can get this fund on the books and deposit the check that we've already received from Carroll County Senior and Family Services. Is there any discussion regarding proposed ordinance 2018-9?
I move for approval of ordinance 2018-9 on first reading.
Is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Call the question as to the passage of proposed ordinance 2018-9 on first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I would ask if there's a motion to suspend the rules of procedure to allow for passage on the same day as introduction.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second. Second.
I think Councilman Garrison needs you out there. So I'll call the question as to the motion to suspend the rules of procedure to allow for passage on the same day as introduction. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Proceed to second reading, proposed ordinance 2018-9, read by title alone, an ordinance creating a non-reverting operating fund for community center purposes. Is there a motion to approve on second reading?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Call the question as to second reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. This is the third and final reading of proposed ordinance 2018-9, read by title alone, an ordinance creating a non-reverting operating fund for community center purposes. Is there a motion to approve the proposed ordinance on third and final reading?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. We'll move next to proposed resolution 2018-20, read by title alone, a resolution authorizing application submission and local match commitment. So this is what Ms. Kane was talking about at the beginning of the meeting, at the public hearing. This would authorize the mayor to submit the documents to OCRA to apply for the Public Facilities Program grant, right? All right. Is there any discussion regarding proposed resolution 2018-20? Is there a motion to approve proposed resolution 2018-20?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right. We'll move next to an update on the water project. Thought we could have a discussion since we had that meeting Wednesday and what our thoughts are. If I may, I would like to start. It's brief, but it seemed like there was two primary opinions from the water meeting of last Wednesday. One was don't raise our water rates at all. The other was let's go to a more secure option in the TAs. It seemed to be the more resounding opinions that I heard. Since last Wednesday, I know it's not much time, but I've started to look at the operation and maintenance costs that's been built into the proposal for the increase in the rate change. I think we had next year at $230,000 to $240,000 in the O&M to see how that money could be spent. Some of it's on power and chemicals. Some of it's supposed to be set aside for tank maintenance. But if we have any room in there to start working towards the TAs, there's not enough money to do it, you know, over the course of 20 years with what we have remaining in operation and maintenance funds. But there's steps that could be taken. I think, I haven't done the full analysis, but it's something that I'd like to get you guys next month to look at. What we anticipate, power, electric labor, for the increased systems under the current proposal, how much money we'd want to set aside for water tower maintenance so that every 10 to 15 years we could be doing painting, so we're saving $7,500 to $10,000 a year for each tank. Looking at doing the IPC, do the maintenance on that tank, we can save enough money in a 5 to 10 year period. So try to get all those expenditures that could happen in the future together on a sheet and try to anticipate what costs will be. And there's inflation, there's increases and decreases in revenue, there's increases and decreases in cost. You can't account for everything, but we could at least get a ballpark idea of what might possibly be done. So it's going to be a work in progress, but it's an analysis I'd like to complete just to see if we could work towards a TASE if we were to complete the current proposal. So I'd like to hear you guys' thoughts about the meeting, about the TASE, about the current proposal, about whatever you want to talk about from the meeting from last Wednesday, what your thoughts are, how you thought the meeting went.
So you're saying that we would go ahead and proceed with the current proposal of 13.5 and then save toward the TASE?
Yes, ma'am. Or at least try to knock out some of the smaller projects that the TASE requires, whether it's acquisition of the property, whether it's construction of a well house, whether it's drilling another well on the property. You're not going to be able to do like the Kelton Red Transmission Main, the additional ground storage at Kelton Room, but we may be able to knock out smaller projects over the course of time. Before the debt from from the 2 bonds we have, and if we proceed at the 3rd bond, may be ready for, once all that falls off, 2035, 2040, and then depending on the current proposal goes through, it'll be 2039 or 2040. We probably wouldn't start paying until 2020, so it'll be 2039.
Would this money go into a special account or just for water project? Because I'm afraid that if it does specify that it is for water, it will be spent for something else.
It would be spent for water projects. I can't say today, right now, that we set aside $20,000 in 2021 strictly for going towards the TASE, that we may not have an emergency where we would have to tap into those funds.
Right. What I'm saying is though, is those monies gonna go for instance, if we do have an emergency in water, that they will take and actually go for that and specifically for that. Because we have used the money over the years out of the water department. And I think personally that Craig has done a marvelous job of trying to stay afloat. And I think that he should be justified that he knows that if he puts $20,000 or if we put $20,000 in there, that $20,000 will go for water and water projects.
Yeah, that's that's the only thing his money can be used for, things that are associated with the water department. The only exception to that would be if the sewer department with a general fund needed a loan, which you can loan from one department to the other, but you have to have it paid back within the same year.
Okay.
So, but the intent would be to have the money set aside so that we're saving money towards tank rehab, so we're saving money towards TASE projects. But there could be unforeseens that we can't anticipate. But the intent would be to set that money aside so that we can complete those projects in the future using the funds that we've already received.
So you're saying that this 13.5, I thought we had built into it the maintenance on the overhead tanks?
That project includes the Armory Road tank, the Hilltop tank, I believe the Deer Creek tank, does not include the IPC tank. But even if we do maintenance in 2019, we want to start setting money aside to do maintenance in 2029 to 2034. So that's, we want to build in $7,500 a year so that in 10 to 15 years, we have the money to paint one of those tanks.
Again,
Correct. Like I said, my analysis is just starting. It'll take me some time to try to figure out what fixed costs we have, variable costs we have. I believe the 601 operating fund has about 1,000 expenditures out of it a year, so I'm trying to sort through those and figure out what's what. But I'd like to have you something in August.
but when we did the Stellar program, you know, we had to come up with, let's say, 5 million out of the 20 million supposedly that we received. And we used, what did we use for that? How did we,
You didn't say on paper that you had funds. You had funds available to supply the grant. Same thing Sean was talking to you tonight. And am I not wrong, Sean? Because as you're talking tonight, you've got to sign a letter that says you have funds. You have funds available. That's all we did then. You didn't put money up. You signed that you had funds available dedicated to that project.
but we had to meet certain, at times when the grants didn't cover,
That's at the end part of the process. If the grants didn't cover it, and that's what you're gonna do this year, you're gonna end up doing is the grants have closed out. You're going to do an additional appropriation to pay your negative part of those grants, but that's what you said you were gonna do from day one. You said you had the funds to do that. So that project ended up bidding out, both engineers and construction, it bid out for X amount of dollars. But it's less, you had less to pay from the grant. So the rest of that belongs to you. You said at the first, you had funds to take care of that. Now, on the end, you take those funds out of the general fund, and you take those negative figures and you make them zero, you make them positive. The only grant we did not have to do that with, and there again, I'll go back and say what I've always said, is the Opera House. Because that was basically, I considered almost like a pass-through. It was all handled. All the book work was done here. But because you had a general manager and because you had meetings and because it was all handled by them, so there was no expense. I don't know where this misconception comes up that Stellar, that we paid for the Opera House. We never paid a cent of the Opera House. It was all funded by them. So all your other projects though that you did, whether you're looking at street stakes, gateway, owner occupied, whatever you're looking, facades, whatever. From the time it started, you knew that you were going to participate. Not up front. You operated on grant funds and the state allows you, the State Board of Accounts allows you to operate on a negative figure, knowing that the time comes that you make those positive. You put your own funds back in to clear the negative off from it. And that's what you'll be doing with an additional appropriation this year, as they've all closed out.
I think there's another misconception that should be cleared up, is that for the facade grant for streetscapes, Gateway Trail, owner-occupied rehabilitation, there's another one?
Interurban.
Yeah, that was not Stellar.
Well, it wasn't, but it was.
But those funds, the city's match came from our general fund.
Correct.
For the water exchange, those funds came from the water department.
Correct.
Because it was focused on
The
downtown water
improvements.
infrastructure.
well, I wish more people had come to the meeting last Wednesday. Those that came, I thought, asked some good questions. I think fear is driving so much of it that they're just not certain how they're going to fit into it and how they're going to be able to afford it.
I agree with you. I think it was a good meeting, but I think there's a lot of misstatements out there, innuendo, a lot of falsehoods being put out. I think people need to sit down and see it on paper exactly what it's going to be. Not listen to what some people are saying. You need to really see on paper what it is. And that was presented there this time. I mean, they hear 141% increase. Some people think $141. You know, percentage-wise, it's just on the water also. I mean, these things, some people aren't clear on that, I guess is what I'm saying, and that's the biggest thing is education.
I thought having the engineers there, having the financial advisor there, those were, and Craig being a part of the panel, all of those were good things to help explain.
I think it was beneficial to have on ball there. Answered a lot of questions that we didn't answer the first time we had that meeting.
It'll be beneficial if you can come up next month with some more of those ideas and fish them out so they know exactly what you're talking about.
Any other comments regarding the meeting on last Wednesday?
Yeah, I know most of your non-for-profit organizations pay for a sprinkler system. If they support the water bill, is that all right?
I'm not sure where you're going.
Uh,
I think there's only one
they,
building in town.
is the maintenance on the water, they pay for that?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
we bill them, they do.
Are they assessed a sales tax then?
No, no, it's flat rate on that.
So, yeah,
Because they haven't actually used the water. If they use the water, they pay for the water,
Yeah.
fill that in.
Yeah,
What he's talking about is what we bill for hydrants and sprinkler systems
yeah,
oh,
on
yeah,
an annual basis.
yeah.
They pay because, and Craig, you're gonna have to help me out on that. Am I not saying that right? They do not pay for water. I mean, they pay for the water if they use it. That has nothing to do with when we bill them for a sprinkler or a hydrant.
No, the bill for the sprinkler system is the bill, because we don't have any way of measuring how much water they use if the sprinkler does, so.
But
But
if it goes through the sprinkler system, it's still going through your meter.
no,
Oh, it is?
it's a complete separate line. That's just a flat fee we charge each year for them to have the availability of that.
Okay.
so, yeah, the code of ordinance specifies if we have a dedicated 2-inch line, 3-inch line, it has the different sizes, but what the annual fee is on that, I was thinking for a 2-inch, it was $360 a year. Probably have a bigger line.
I think it's
But if
6
you
inches,
post it, you're not
600,
using it.
Oh, it's sure.
It's like when you recycle.
Yeah.
Didn't want to use the water.
No, you don't want to have to turn on the sprinkler system.
Yeah, that's not a good one.
So 2 inches, $136 a year, 3 inches, $306, 4 inches, $408, 6 and 8 inches are both $681 a year.
Do we have any that are nonprofits that we don't charge for that?
There's some that we were late to get them signed up. I think we just went through an audit. Superintendent Myers went through town to identify where we have those dedicated fire mains. So all of them in town that we're aware of should be signed up at this point.
All have been billed. Most of them have paid.
Okay.
So, I mean,
And here, I'll clear this up, because here again, here's something that's, you take a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and you're coming over here at another edge. An individual, Dale Seward, approached our office and asked if specific places were billed. I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure. There again, I'm over it, but I don't handle it.
Yeah.
So we got to looking into it. When we looked into it, we called Craig up, and we started looking into it. It wasn't just 2 places that was asked about, there were several places. And they were new. But I'll give you an example. We built the RMC downtown, but when the RMC put up the new building and we put a sprinkler system in, we did not build it. We did not build the new Methodist church, if you want to get specific.
Well,
That was my office's fault that they were not built. It was not theirs. We did not build properly. Other businesses continued to be billed and continued to pay. So we addressed that issue, we sent bills out, and all but I think 1, 2 have already paid.
thank you. I
You're
appreciate
welcome.
that.
Well, it's called Ask the Questions and you'll get a correct answer.
Thank you.
There any other comments regarding the meeting last Wednesday? Next item I'd like to discuss is the community center project, and it's been a while since, as a council, we kind of discussed the funding mechanism for it. I tried to highlight some of the conversations we have had since this project began. But my question to the council, I guess I have questions regarding should the city fund projects that occur out in the right of way? So that'd be sidewalk, that would be approach, that'd be curb and gutter, some excavation, some dirt work, some reseeding, possibly additional concrete work, depending on any design changes. What percentage of those costs should the city put forward? Do those funds come from accounts that are already appropriated or from additional appropriations? And the role of the community center committee in authorizing contractors to perform work on the parking lot. So I'd like just to get something clear on how we should proceed with the right of way in the parking lot. Do we have any discussion?
I thought, in the original resolution where the city gave them $85,000, I said, I was told that they would raise the rest of the money and do the rest of it themselves. That's, at that time I asked for a budget, they didn't have a budget. I have never seen an accounting of the money they've received and how they've used it or anything like that. Has anybody, have we had a report? on
Yes,
that? Okay, I guess I've not seen it.
all the records are kept in my office, everything,
Okay.
expense and.
But I guess what I'm saying,
contributions
is
and-
originally, you know, after that 85,000, said the remainder of the money was gonna be raised independently and everything. So I guess, now I'm asking, how much are we gonna be asked again to put into it?
I don't think we're asking anything, we're just, we're ready to put the parking lot in. We're short of the final goal of that by about 15,000 that we're working on right now through contributions and fundraising, and we're still doing the same thing we've always done.
Okay, well, I'm just referring to some of the things he said, and just being a clarification, you know.
I don't,
So the community center committee intends to raise funds for the
as we
all
always
work
say,
occurring in the right of way as well?
I don't know about the right of way, Mr. Watson.
I mean, that's, and I know,
Way I interpreted, we would take care of the funds within the property lines. In other words, out to the sidewalk. That was always my interpretation. I agreed to help the guy take care of everything within the 120 by 120 lot, is it the 340 foot lots? That was my interpretation.
that's why I'm asking for clarification today, just to figure out where the fundraising boundaries are, I guess, within this project.
And I thought the city could take care of their own curb and their own approach and their own sidewalk. That was my interpretation of what they wanted.
Any comments, discussion, ideas, thoughts?
I think we, as a committee, appreciate the patience and the contributions from the city council. we gave you our word that we would do what we said we were gonna do as far as the funds, collecting them and finishing the work. And personally, I'd like to see that stuck to and allow us to finish the job, which we will do.
But I think it's certainly the city's responsibility to put the sidewalk and what's in the city right away. Do you not think so?
There was never clarification one way or the other. I mean, Dollar General, when they put in their new store, they included the work of the sidewalk and the approach themselves. Probably should have new curb, but that's neither here nor there. So I guess,
It's a little different.
Yeah.
well, I
it's a
know that, but
I don't think that's unreasonable, Carolyn, what you just said.
would that come from existing appropriated line items or from additional appropriation?
Well, we'd have to know what the cost is first, wouldn't we?
Yes.
And if it's a certain amount, then we have to get bids on doing that, or,
It's over $150,000, we have to get bids.
okay.
I don't anticipate it being over $150,000.
I don't either. It should.
If it's
Never
over,
will be.
if we anticipate it being over $50,000, we have to solicit 3 estimates. If it's under $50,000, we don't have to. Superintendent Lyons.
I would suggest we just do it in our current program and use my existing line item to do so. There's not that much there. My only requirement's gonna be is the parking lot has to be done. Somebody's gotta set grade so I know what to do out front, so that I'm not putting curb too high, too low, or indifferent, so. And I would just recommend we take it out of my budget, because the chances of us getting people signed up to use my budget this year will be slim to none anyway. And we can get that in on that contract price. You're not talking a great deal out there anyway, so.
If we don't have enough sign up for the sidewalk, could some of that be used on curbs?
That's
Some
what
of
I'm
that-
saying, the curb and sidewalk at the community center, I would take out of my appropriation.
I know, but otherwise, you know, when you're saying you don't think
So
people will
right,
use.
right now, the city ordinance says that curb is supposed to be 100% paid for by the property owner. I know if we're doing a street project in town, normally we put the curb in with the street project if it's complete tear out, not if it's micro servicing. But like our plan for the Sam Millroy project, we would put curb in with that, we wouldn't charge the property owner. So if we we're gonna do curb, I would request that the ordinance be amended to reflect that, the same language as the sidewalk. Because the sidewalk one says that the Board of Public Works and Safety can set up the cost sharing program, and for years it's been 50-50 match.
Some years it hasn't, but yeah. Has it?
What's that?
I mean, we didn't have a 50-50 match some years, have we?
As long as I've been here, yes.
We have?
Yeah.
What she's saying though, has someone taken advantage of it every year?
Oh, no, it's been hard the last several years. It's been a struggle.
Well, I thought people had asked me, and I didn't even think that we had the funds available for it. So
We have it, however, with the event of Stellar and everything, and how busy we got up there, and then even before that, getting people to sign up, it was difficult. Those who can afford to spend their portion of money, a lot of them folks have done their sidewalks. And then I've got a few now. I think I've got 8 people back there that's inquired. I've got, I think, 4 that has already deposited their money, correct? Somewhere in there, 3 or 4?
3 or 4, you
So
got
I'll-
another one today.
Yeah, so I'm probably gonna end up with about a half a dozen people committed. And that's it.
The average match on that's 2,500
So,
to.
you got a 60-foot frontage, average
It's like 900
68,
bucks.
yes, it's $900 to $1,200 for their share.
Well, that's helpful to know, for people to have an idea of what
Yeah,
their
and
share.
there's a lot of variables, whether there's sidewalk between the curb and the house, if they got anything else they need to do, if there's a driveway approach, that adds to the cost. But if you're just talking straight sidewalk, it's not too bad, but just, we struggle to get people that.
And if there are people in the city that want an estimate, they can reach out to Superintendent Lyons, he'll measure everything up and provide that estimate. So if anybody has any neighbors,
So would he be the one that would figure out at the community center how much it would cost to do that section?
We'd have a pretty good estimate.
Yeah, I just need to know what's,
Plan sets.
yeah, how all that's working, what your elevation's gonna be on the parking lot to make sure everything comes out. I guess the easiest thing to do is I can just rudimentary measure it up, and then when they put it in, as long as we have the approach where it's not too steep or anything, so we can get vehicles in there.
Thank you, Superintendent. Is there any further discussion on this matter? I think I have some resolution, city fund the right-of-way projects and fundraising occurred for those projects within the scope of the parcels. Mr. Jura, is that acceptable to Tiffany Township if you guys are going to donate funds, if the city's putting up funds towards the right-of-way?
That would be very,
Thank you. The next item of business, and this came up at the Board of Public Works and Safety meeting, so I don't have any notes on here. But we brought up the idea of changing the board meeting time from 5:30 to, I think we said 6:30, but it may be 6 or 6:15, so that there's not such a gap between the end of the board meeting and the beginning of the council meeting, because there was quite a wait today, hour and 15 minutes. So it was brought up that the board could move their meeting times to, that's between 6 and 6:30, whatever it is. But there was an idea of moving the council meetings back from 7 o'clock to 6:30 or 6, just so that the meetings aren't running late into the night. I know right now it's still sunny outside, but here come November, December, it's dark and it's no fun. But I just want to get the thoughts of the council. If you guys want to stay at 7 o'clock, the board will move up to 6 or 6:30. If you guys want to push back to 6 o'clock, we'll move accordingly. Everybody's for pushback?
No, I say the area plan moved theirs from 7 to 6, I know to do that, so there's other people changing meeting times.
So there's no ordinance for consideration today. I just wanted a little discussion. If the council wants to entertain it, we can draft an ordinance to amend the meeting times to 6. If the council doesn't, then we'll leave it alone and the board will change our meetings to between 6 and 6:30.
I like the idea of moving it back. I'd like to get out of here before 9 o'clock.
Move it back to 6 o'clock.
6:30, whatever, whichever works best for everybody. 6:30, whatever's the best time. I'd rather be out of here at 8 o'clock than 9 o'clock. Nothing, I don't like you guys or anything. I like my free time.
Any other discussion on the matter?
I want to see, I don't think it's proper to move the Board of Works meeting up too far because you're going to preclude public attendance if you get too